Working Title now has lifetime access. You will get coached for the next however many years this program lives, and also retain all of your replay calls, etc. in your client portal. The only thing with a limit is that the critique is not lifetime access. Hey, sunshine. Welcome. I had a whole plan for what I was going to do in this episode, and I changed it. So we're here now, and I'm going to tell you about changes to the Working Title Writing Incubator and why I changed it, especially because I'm in the middle of selling it right now. So timing, huh? Such is the life of a neurodivergent entrepreneur, because when I get a sort of download in my brain about like, oh shit, that makes so much more sense, I'm going to do it that way. I don't really see the point in saying, well, I will limit myself. I will sell it in what I now see as like the worst way this time, and then the better way next time. No, I had the idea, so it's changing now. So here's what's coming. So previously, Working Title was a 12-month writing incubator. You would come in, we would get 12 months of coaching and critique to finish your first draft in a year. So you would get a year of support to finish your first draft in a year. And then it's over, right? Like you go on your merry way. I bring in another cohort of writers and I work with them for a year. This had some benefits. So I wanted to keep the cohorts small, because when we're doing critique, you can't have like an exponential number of people in a critique workshop, right? You can't read all that. So I'm like, okay, so if we keep the whole group to 15 to 20 people, then with people sort of not always submitting every time that we do critique, we should have anywhere from like 5 to 8 things to critique per session. That was really like the holdup. And that was why it needed a limitation. I have solved for this now, which I am very delighted to say that Working Title is now a lifetime access product. So what that means, it's not my lifetime, because I'm probably not going to be selling Working Title exactly as it is right now until I die. Probably not. It's unlikely. But it is the lifetime of the product, the lifetime of the offer, and the lifetime of the internet that you can access the replays and such. So now, rather than a year, you can get coaching for as long as I am coaching within the Working Title product. Cool. I love this. For me, for you, it's great. So why? Why did I make it lifetime? 3 main reasons. Number 1 is that I want to build a community around neurodivergent writers. And if I am constantly like, people are coming in, then they're going out, people are coming in, then they're going out, we're not building like a long-term growing community of writers. It's sort of like we're growing little small communities of writers that will probably stay in touch for a very long time. A lot of the people from like the first cohort are still in touch with each other, and they have been out of the program now for going on 6 months. But they're back because I brought the alumni back. I'm delighted. So reason number 2, and this builds on the reason why Working Title was a year long in the first place. And I always said that it's a year because I want it to be spacious. And I want writers to be able to have life happen, like have something blow up, and they don't have to write for a month or so, you know? Like, it's okay if you're not writing constantly every week. I didn't want it to be a high pressure thing. I didn't want it to be like a boot camp. And I didn't want to do like NaNoWriMo style, write your first draft in a month. Those things are possible. They're not what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a more spacious container for the writing of the first draft, including the time it takes to take a break or deal with a family emergency or a medical issue or being out of work and like needing to apply to new jobs or do whatever. Like, I wanted space for life to happen. And also because sometimes you're going to like hit a wall in the creative process and need a break from your book. So if you need a break from your book and we're only in this container for 6 months or 3 months or a month, there's no time to take a break. It's more pressure, which contributes more to burnout, which I am against. I do not want to contribute to your burnout. I want to contribute to your ease and your creativity-filled life. So it's spacious. Now it's extra spacious. So some of the feedback that I have gotten from the alumni when I invited them back in was like, this is going to work so much better for my neurodivergent brain, because they needed those 6 months between the time when they left and now being invited back and having access to the coaching again and the trainings and the modules and like all of that. So this is especially helpful for people with a PDA profile, which is the pathological term, which is going out of style, but you may have heard it as pathological demand avoidance. But there has been a push within the autism community to refer to it as a pervasive drive for autonomy. But demand avoidance itself as a concept is when you like have to do something and that demand that you do it in a certain way or at a certain time or within certain parameters, that makes your executive functioning like, no, we're not doing it now. So for me, like growing up, if I was planning on doing the dishes, and I was like, oh, mom's going to love this. I'm going to do the dishes and mom's going to be so happy. And then mom comes home and is like, can you do the dishes tonight? Suddenly, all the motivation that I had to do the dishes, gone. Like that can happen anywhere. Demand avoidance is a thing that can affect pretty sure anybody. But when we have pervasive demand avoidance or drive for autonomy, that means that we want to be in control of when and how the task gets done. Makes sense, right? That feels more like you have more agency. You have more of your own control over what's happening. And when it comes to creativity, that can be very helpful because it's like the difference between doing a paint by numbers by the book or painting something on a blank canvas. Some people like the sketch in there and they can just add the colors. Other people want to develop the thing that they see in their mind, not the thing that somebody has prescribed to them. So not a perfect metaphor, but that comes back to the reason why lifetime access for Working Title is supportive to a wider array of neurodivergent friendly accommodation. Now you have it basically forever. But again, not until I die, until the lifetime of the program. But I can say I'm probably going to be doing this for the next 3 to 5 years. So that's a good long time. Okay, good talk. And reason number 3 why I changed to a lifetime access model is that I missed people. I missed those people from the first cohort. And I hadn't realized that there's a way to just have them continue. Oh, okay. So now I have figured that one out. And I'm like, this is good. We can now grow all together. And also, especially because like the people from the first cohort and some of the people in the second cohort, I'm like, you guys would get along. You guys would be such great friends, but they only met at the retreat, or some of them didn't even come to the retreat. And so there was like no connection and it made me sad. So because I am a sentimental bitch, lifetime access. Hooray. So the truth of the workshop and critique portion remains. I cannot critique everybody's work as this group grows and grows and grows. And I have also found that I love doing critique. At this point in my life and my business as a writing coach, I love getting my hands on your draft and helping you shape it. And it turns out I'm very good at it in a way that I didn't fully realize, which, that happens. We don't give ourselves enough credit for things that we're good at. But I did that novel parkour 5-day challenge that we talked about last month. That happened at the beginning of March this month. And I got to help so many people flesh out their plots and come up with different twists and turns and possible like motivations for the villain. And we fixed the pacing. And so many people were like, oh, I understand now. I was looking at it like this, and now I see it totally differently. And that was very very supportive for me as the coach to be like, yes, I am good at helping people shape stories. I am very good at this. Therefore, I want to do more of it. But like I said, if say 100 people join Working Title and we have a bi-weekly critique workshop, we don't have time. I'm not going to ask everybody in the group to read 100 people's submissions. Even if only 25% of people are submitting, that's still 25 things. That's too much. Can't handle it. I know. Our limit is about 8. Been there. Did it. We have ADHD. I know that we can manage 8. So what we're going to do, instead of the critique workshop component being included for the lifetime, your critique workshop is included for your first year. So that part is contained to a year. And that way, when we enroll, which you can enroll at like any time, but I'm going to enroll it like with this big kind of sort of all-in-one, including your year of critique, probably 2 to 4 times a year, probably 2. And in between, I might mess with the pricing so that it doesn't include the year, because whatever, not important. What is important is that it includes your first year of critique, and then after which point you re-enroll in the critique element. This means that as the group grows and more people want critique, that work is going to be spread out so that I can host like a Monday critique, a Wednesday critique, a Friday critique. Like we can have 3 to 5 different critique workshops who are in small groups. We are going to group these potentially by genre as the group grows. So the future of that will look like we have horror and thriller critique on Wednesdays. We have fantasy and romance critique on Fridays. We have nonfiction and memoir critique on Tuesdays. Whatever it is, however it shakes out. I don't have a schedule. But that way, people can opt in when they need workshop, first of all, because after your first draft, you're probably going to go into revision and you might want some time to work on that revision before you're ready to get critique again. It's kind of a process to go into revision. And sometimes it's very emotional and you might want more coaching versus critique at that point. So you just take a little while off the critique. My dream is that I'm enrolling a new critique cohort roughly every quarter. So every 3 months, you will have a chance to re-up into a new critique cohort. So I've solved that problem of the unfathomable critique workshop group of people. No, we split it up. Ta-da! Hooray! Delightful. Another change is that when I enrolled the fall cohort, the retreat was included. We had an in-person retreat for 5 days in Norton, Ohio, outside of Akron, in a beautiful historic homestead. You can see a gorgeous video of it on my website. And that is also not going to be a sustainable thing that I can offer every time someone purchases Working Title, because now that it's lifetime, it means people can join in sort of on an ongoing basis. And also, if I have a rental booked that can accommodate 15 people and then I get 25 people in here, suddenly the retreat no longer makes sense. Like, you dig? So this has to be an optional, like, sold separately piece of it, but I still want to keep it really accessible. So the retreat for now is an $800 add-on, which covers, like, it subsidizes basically the cost of like the rental and food and activities and such. So after that point, all you will need to do is get to the retreat. And then another change is that I have added a one-on-one option. So if you would like more in-depth work with me as a coach one-on-one, this could be because you're writing something that's really personal and you don't always want to bring the questions and concerns that are coming up during your writing process to a group call. I have created a pretty safe space here, and there has never been any like judgment or harshness on the calls from other people, but I do understand that sometimes when things are really personal, or maybe you're writing something and it's activating some trauma, that individual support can feel safer than group. So I get that. And also the one-on-one comes with some high-level manuscript review. So not just like the chapter by chapter sort of critique, the peer critique, but I will overview the whole manuscript and give like high-level advice. I'm not going to get in there and be like, move this comma, but high-level advice on how to make the book flow, how to get through a stuck point. We can work through plot twists, etc. And that I'm also keeping fairly accessibly priced. So at this point, because it's the first time I'm adding this option, it's $1,800 to get 12 one-on-one calls with me. And those are to be used. You can use them like once a month. So along with your first year of critique, you can have one monthly one-on-one with me, or you can save them up and be like, I want to meet weekly for like 12 weeks when I'm ready to query or something like that. So it's flexible, and you'll get a special little link that you can just book out all your sessions on. So that is why I have changed Working Title to lifetime access, and also some of the like limitations and changes to the structure and pricing of Working Title. It is still $4,200 right now, and that covers your lifetime access plus the year of critique. And then future critique will re-enroll at much less than that. I'm looking to make that between like $150 to $200 a month. And that will probably be packaged in like a 6-month critique workshop or a 12-month critique workshop. So you can choose your duration at the time. Now I do have time to figure out how the hell that's going to work. So don't hold me to any of that aside from the pricing. I'm pretty sure it won't go over $200. But other thoughts that I have for the future when I let myself daydream about Working Title is I could see developing like a marketing agency that supports authors, or potentially a small press publishing company that supports authors. I'm not sure about all that, but it has been a daydream. So encourage me or talk me out of it, if you will, because that one's really just up there daydreaming. So long story short, Working Title now has lifetime access. You will get coached for the next however many years this program lives, and also retain all of your replay calls, etc. in your client portal. The only thing with a limit is that you are buying 1 year of critique instead of, the critique is not lifetime access, rather, is how I should say that. So let me know your questions. I would love to chat with you and do a consult. The official enrollment date for this spring cohort was the 19th, but I know that this podcast is coming out on the 22nd. So I am extending the enrollment through the end of March. So if you have any questions, concerns, get on a call with me. We will talk about your novel idea. We can talk about whatever it is, or memoir, or a nonfiction book, whatever you're doing. And I will get all your questions answered. If it's a great fit, it's a great fit, and I'd love to have you here. So all the links for all that goodness will be in the show notes, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Okay, fellow storytellers, there is one thing that I want you to take with you: the fact that your story matters and you deserve to write it down. Are you going to let the inner perfectionist hold you back because you're afraid of getting a little bit messy along the way? Or are you ready to embrace the chaotic, messy, beautiful experience of your first draft, knowing that wherever you start is good enough to begin? Let me tell you about a game changer, my Working Title Writing Incubator. This is a 12-month writing incubator. It is not just a course. It is not just any old program. This is the place where your authorly dreams take flight. And as always, it is developed by a neurodivergent, disabled, queer writer, so you know it is top tier shit. Inside the incubator, I am pulling out all the stops to make your book inevitable. The only thing missing is your decision to come aboard and say yes to your book. Join Working Title today, and we'll turn your story into reality, one chapter at a time. Your book deserves a spot on that shelf, and it is time for you to claim it. So visit workingtitlestudio.com to take the first step towards finally finishing that first draft. Your story belongs in the world. So let's make it happen. As always, I want to shout out my amazing podcast production team, the Pancake Copycats, who specialize in marketing support for neurodivergent entrepreneurs, and songwriter Ashton Powers for writing and performing my intro. I'll see you later.